I've got
Okay.
my I've
Nice.
got my holy book here. This is my father's garnet ring. It's very sentimental to me. It's a family heirloom piece, and my mother said, "Why don't you wear that? Your character is a vicar. He would have that kind of a thing." And I thought, yes. So I got my dad with me, and my Bible is actually a Harry Potter book.
That is amazing, and I hope that makes it to the interview.
Because I mean, it looks so good, but this is Richard's Harry Potter book, and I thought I need an old timey looking book, so I kind of just cover the skull a little bit. But like Racy just said, we're having to use what we've got. We've managed to deliver around a few costume pieces and props, but by and large, this is all stuff that we have been able to come up with on our own, and just use our imaginations. And kudos to all of the cast for being super creative and finding ways to make it work, because that's what we have to do right now.
Absolutely. You guys are sort of all playing different roles, really, with, set design and costumes and hair and makeup, but you are actually literally playing two roles in your own life with this show. You are a part of the show as a character, and you are also a co-director.
Yeah, it was really funny. I the idea just started kind of formulating, and I'm like, I'm in. I would love to do something. And one of the actors that was going to play Chasuble was not able to continue. And and so I one day just read for him, while everybody else did their thing. And Frank turned to me and he said, "Why don't you play that part?" And it's really kind of a blessing because I haven't appeared on stage in 6 years now. I think the last show that I was in was South Pacific at Town, and that's a good 5 or 6 years ago now. So, there was a time when I really loved acting, and I still do. But I learned that my true talent for the theater was behind the scenes, and really have focused heavily on that. And getting back to acting has been a treat and a privilege, and I'm glad it's worked out that way.
I can see it in your face. I can see the joy in your I can tell you're having a really good time doing
It's
this.
fun. It's fun. The show is fun. It's kind of steeped in this Victorian era mystique of, sex and repression. And, there's three different love stories all embedded within here. And it's classic Oscar Wilde, and it's so much fun. And I really hadn't looked at it since high school, honestly. And I forgot how. Even though it's beautifully written and a Victorian era masterpiece, it still speaks to people today. Frank, my co-director, he says it's if you take away the Victorian language, it's practically an episode of Three's Company. And I thought, yeah, okay, and it's good. That note goes to the actors, and then we try to, even though we're speaking in a kind of a florid way, especially my character. He's the Dr. Chasuble. He's the very educated type of person, and he always talks about his seminars that the bishop saw and all of this kind of stuff. But he's looking for love too, whether he realizes it or not. And if you want to find out how that turns out, you got to tune in and watch. But it's interesting. It's very interesting and a lot of fun, and we're enjoying it immensely.
So, on a personal note, I want to know how you started with theater. Were you a theater kid? Did you see a television show? Did you have a pivotal moment, or was it a gradual thing? How Tell us about that. Just tell us about you.
Yeah, I was a theater kid. So adolescence is awkward for everybody, and you're trying to kind of figure out where do you fit in this kind of a thing. And there was auditions for Anything Goes at my high school. I was a freshman, And somebody said, hey, you want to go and audition with me? Somebody just, they wanted to go, but you know how it is, you want your friend to come with you for moral support and that kind of thing. I said, yeah, I'll go and do that. And I found the most wonderful people. You know, everybody talks about their tribe or their clique or the group that they fit in with in high school. Richard and I, we love to watch Romy and Michelle, where they'd say, well, we weren't in the A group, but we weren't in the B group. And that's kind of how it was. I found my people in the theater program, in the music program, and the arts in general. It's why it's so important that we continue to fund and support those things in our communities and in our schools, because it was a home for me. So I got into the ensemble of Anything Goes, and it's also where I learned about stagecraft and backstage work, and had some really great mentors that explained to me how lighting worked, and how to do a set and all of those things. And so I've been doing this since the 80s. And I took a break from it for a while. I went to business school because I bought into the argument that, oh, it's fun as a hobby, but you'll never be able to make a living doing that. And after working in the business world for 25 years, I decided that I was going to come back to the arts community. And, ain't nobody getting rich, unless you're a big Hollywood celebrity, but it is fulfilling to the soul. And it's a decision that I don't regret one bit. I love being part of the arts community and working different shows. And I feel really lucky too, because Richard is also highly involved. And so, we got that dynamic. We understand the stress and heartache and the long hours that you have to put in to make a show happen. But ultimately, it's so worth it.
Absolutely. Absolutely, it is so worth it. What about with COVID? We have what month are we on? I think in it was March 18th, I want to say, that we sort of closed the doors at the art center. And we are gradually reopening, but not the theater, because we obviously cannot house a full house right now because of all of the guidelines, and we want to keep everybody safe. So how has it been for you as an artist, as a performer, as behind the scenes, all of that, to have that missing for so many months, and then to be able to find an outlet to at least participate in some form of the arts and recreate it, really recreate the entire wheel?
Yeah, I think Racy had alluded to this too. You do miss the in-person camaraderie. We all have backstage stories. We all have, Richard and I, we've been doing shows in Columbia for over a decade now, dozens and dozens, and we've got all kinds of stories. And so the in-person thing is highly missed, just like I know our audiences miss us terribly too. There is nothing like in-person theater. Otherwise, it would be gone forever. We just consume everything on our screens, which is happening. But there's nothing like that in-person experience. So we have to do what's safe. We have to do what is going to protect everybody, and we all acknowledge that. But in the meantime, if we can use technology and try to get as close an approximation to that experience as possible, and just hold on, because we know it's not going to last forever. It's not going to last forever. We're going to open the Wood Auditorium again. We're going to have full houses of cheering patrons, and I'll be up in the booth with them, and it's going to be so exciting. And we just need people to hang on and continue to support what we are able to do at this time, knowing that we're dying to come back, but we don't want to die to come back. So we really want to make sure we take it slow, we follow all the proper advice, and then we're going to come back bigger, stronger, and better than ever in 2021.
Amazing. I'm levitating right now. That I'm so excited to hear those words. We do miss you so much. We do miss everyone being on the stage and behind the scenes and all of the things that, you know, all of the moving parts that create the magic of theater. And I applaud all of you for doing what you are doing because it is just absolutely beautiful. And I really truly cannot wait to see, because the silver lining that we've sort of been talking about with COVID is that you guys don't all live close to each other. So Zoom has enabled you to sort of get together in a different way despite geography.
Absolutely. So this is a wonderful thing. I have known two of our cast members for a while. Admired their work from afar, but they live in Birmingham, Alabama. So of course, I've never worked with them in person. But getting the ability to bring them into this production and watch their process as actors and see how they have contributed to the project and blossomed and added so much. That's something we don't always get. Different theaters around the region that we have here attract, different groups of people. And a lot of times you see some of the same faces again, and that's great. I've acted opposite a couple of different people, including Frank Thompson, several times. But being able to see new faces, people in Camden, they are not going to have seen these Birmingham performers before, probably. And so they'll see some familiar faces and they'll see some new faces. And that's always fun. And that is an opportunity we wouldn't have had if we had put this play on stage in person. And so that's an upside. We're going to embrace every little bit we can get.
Awesome. So lastly, just if I've sort of been asking this to every cast member, what is it that is what is special about the importance of being earnest for someone who maybe hasn't read or even ever seen the show? How would you describe it?
Well, it's really interesting because it's a snapshot of a unique period of time. It talks about issues that are old timey, but surprisingly topical and still applicable. We talk today about inequality and the different classes and the struggle and the propriety of how do we want to appear versus how we really are, and these issues are dealt with in this play. Do I have a hidden secret in my past? What does the status of my birth have to do with how will I be accepted in society? Who in the family will approve or disapprove of my courting or wanting to date somebody because of those aspects? These were all in there, and some of those issues are serious, but Oscar Wilde, being a genius, has wrapped them up in a really funny piece of work that continues to be performed and still has something to say for 21st century audiences today, as much as they did back when it first came out.
Amazing, amazing. I think to say that Oscar Wilde was a clever fellow would probably be putting it mildly. Um,
Absolutely. They're layer upon layer. The more I look at it, I find new stuff and new stuff and new stuff. It's in there, and so it's one of those things you can take at face value and it can be fun and light, and then you can also dig in a little bit farther and be like, oh, he's being a little naughty there, And being naughty in Oscar Wilde's time was risky,
right.
so he was taking chances, and that's, I think, one of the reasons that literature is so important, and not to lose track of the classics. Everybody loves. I made my joke about my Harry Potter book. Everybody loves the modern classics, but at the same time, there is stuff to be said and lessons to be learned and fun to be had, even from a piece that's 100 or more years old.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Frank. Thank you so much for directing. Thank you so much for acting. Thank you so much for being a part of this cast. We are Absolutely thrilled and humbled to have you.
And
So
thank you so much for showcasing it for us. We cannot wait to get it out to everybody. We hope that you love it and have as much fun watching it as we've had making it.
awesome.
I am celibate, madam.
Yes. And the name of the show is?
What the show is The Importance of Being Earnest, premiering on December 9th, right here from the Art Center of Kershaw County. We cannot wait to have you see our creation.